Afternoon. So we're continuing with Mishnah 12 from the statement from Hillel, who told us that we should be disciples of Aaron. And being disciples of Aaron means ho'ev shalom v'rodev shalom, to love peace and pursue peace. Ohev es habrios, to love people and bring them close to Torah. So it's not enough to want to have peace. There's loving peace and is pursuing peace. And it's not the same thing. That someone could love peace. I'd love to have peace, but what are you doing about it? Right? So it's not, you can't, when you want to have something happen, it's not just to say, oh yeah, I think that's a good idea, or I like that idea. You have to act on it. You have to make it happen too. If you see that something needs to be dealt with, then you can't just say, oh, I wish everybody would get along, or wouldn't it be nice? But you have to actually work on figuring out how to make it happen. And that's that Aaron, as we mentioned yesterday, that Aaron himself would do that. And therefore, with a person who's going to act on it, that person is truly a disciple of Aaron. Irving Bunim points out an idea of also, if you want to make peace with others, you also have to be at peace with yourself at first. Or if you want, when a person is at peace with themselves, first of all, they'll get along better with other people. People who have turmoil within themselves are more likely to be getting into disputes with others as well, and that causes obviously friction and dispute. Whereas if you're someone who is happy within yourself and you feel comfortable of where you are, what you have, and all the lessons we've learned about being satisfied with your portion, etc., then you're able to get along with others much better. And therefore you won't be jealous of others. And he gives the example for Aaron, who was the Kohen Gadol, but Aaron, remember, he had a younger brother named Moshe, and Moshe became the leader. And yet we find Aaron was not jealous of his brother at all. Aaron was completely at peace with where he was at. And he wasn't bothered at all by the fact that Moshe, whose younger brother, had a higher position in a sense than he did. Another idea about using Aaron as the example is that Aaron was, besides being himself Aaron, was also the Kohen Gadol. He was the position of the high priest. That position is a uniting position. The person who is the Kohen Gadol, its position itself unites people. And remember, we only have in Judaism, we have one of many things, right? We have one Kohen Gadol, we have one king, we have one Torah, obviously, and we have one God. One is uniting. And that's why Aaron was used as a role model, besides his personal actions, but also the idea of that he was representing the position of the Kohen Gadol. Another idea of the difference between loving peace and pursuing peace by the Maharal is that loving peace is preventing disputes. We're gonna try to avoid having dispute. Pursuing peace is resolving disputes. The dispute is already in motion. Now you're going to have to work harder to get rid of it. It is, if you're proactive, you can avoid disputes. But once the dispute has started, it is that much harder to get rid of. That person has to pursue in order to be able to do it. And he uses the idea that when someone's in a dispute, so may not be physically, but emotionally you're far apart. That's you're distance from each other, and therefore pursuit is you have to go after it because they're far away. Another idea that's brought by the Midrash Shmuel, which comes from the Talmud, is that the Talmud says that the dispute is like a canal or a stream or something, that if you have a crack, then it's going to grow wider. You know, when you have water going in a certain area, so it stays within its boundaries. But once you take away the boundaries, then the water starts to flow in a wider thing, right? If you don't have the banks of it, and then just like that, if you have people are having once you create a crack and between people, then the dispute gets bigger and bigger, and that is also a problem we find when people are having disputes, having arguments. That some things Sometimes it starts out as something small, and by the time you get finished, they're at war, both in terms of countries, but also in terms of people that the dispute gets that they'll never talk to each other again. He also mentions that it's not just between people and people, but it's also to create peace between people and Hashem, that create harmony, that we want to bring, that's the idea of the last part of the Mishnah, bring them close to Torah, is that's also an angle of bringing peace, making peace between man and his creator. Another idea about loving people, it says, Oheves habrios, this is the next part of the Mishnah, to love people. Brios doesn't just say people, it says brios. Brios are creations. In other words, by definition, the fact that every human being is a creation of God, that's a reason to love them. That's a reason why we should be able to connect with other people. We're not necessarily connecting with people because we want to gain from them. We are connecting with them because each person is God's creation, and therefore we love them for that. The last part of the Mishnah, Oheves habrios, to love the people, and Mekarvan la Torah, to bring them close to Torah, goes together in many understandings. And a number of the commentaries bring down, Drushic source, the idea that Aaron, one of the things that Aaron would do, besides, as we had mentioned, in terms of when people were in dispute, is another thing Aaron would do is when people, let's say there was someone who had committed sins, someone was doing something that he shouldn't be doing. So Aaron would specifically befriend those people and make them feel cared about. And then that person would naturally feel, oh, Aaron, he has faith in me. He feels he thinks that I'm somebody important. He's befriending me. If he thinks that I'm special, then I should act special. And therefore, those people would change their ways, because how could I act this way if I'm somebody special? That was one angle. Another angle is that people would say, oh, Aaron's my friend. If he knew what I was doing, he wouldn't want to be my friend. They didn't realize that he knew what he was doing. So they would, a lot of times, right, the person's embarrassed to do certain things in front of somebody else. So I'm going to change my behavior because I don't want to lose that person as my friend. And so Aaron, as the pursuer of peace, was also the person who brought people close to Torah by loving them, by caring about them. So when we show caring for other people, then we are also going to upgrade their behavior, assuming that we're upstanding characters ourselves, right? Because people are not going to want to do something that's a bad thing if they're going to be associated with us, right? How could somebody be doing, cheating somebody or saying nasty things if they're friends with us and we're not that type of person? The the other angle that's brought down is that this by Rabbi Twersky, that connection to Torah and Aaron, that Aaron understood that the Torah, right, is the system. It's in a sense the manual. It's the manual for life. It's Hashem's manual for life, and that's teaching us how can we reach our maximum potential. How does a human being reach his maximum potential? It's through the Torah. And Aaron's love for people caused him to want to bring them closer to Torah, because in other words, since he loved people, I want the best for them. I want them to be the best they can be. How are we gonna make a person that I care about the best they can be? Oh, I'm going to teach them Torah. I'm going to show them how they can become the best. And in order for them to fulfill their life's mission, in order for them to achieve true happiness, I need to teach them Torah. And that's how Aaron thought. And really that's how we are supposed to think, that if we care about somebody else, don't we want what's best for them? We certainly do. And don't we know what's best for them in the terms of, I'm not talking about we always know what's best for them, but in the general sense, we know that God gave us the system of what's best for a person. So I want to share that with another person so they can also tap into that source. And therefore, the love was the first thing, and the bringing them to the Torah was the result of the love for the person. One more point for today, and that is a statement by Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, which I'm not sure if we said it in this class or it was something I came across that I said somewhere else, but He says that the problem with most people is that most people are concerned about their own physical needs and other people's spiritual needs. And really, what we should do is make it the other way around. You should be concerned about your spiritual needs and worry about someone else's physical needs. In other words, if you want to care about somebody, then you have to care about their physical being as well. And if you really care about a person, then make sure that they have what they need. Take care of their needs. And obviously for yourself, don't be so concerned about your physical needs as much as your spiritual needs, because that's what you need to make yourself better. On the other hand, don't be such a tzaddik on someone else's behalf that you're going to only worry about their spiritual needs while they're still suffering from other things. No, you should be more concerned about their physical needs, and then you can also obviously take care of their spiritual needs, but make sure that they have their basics in terms of life first. And if you take care of your own spiritual needs, naturally, your friend, you will be taking care of theirs as well. And we'll hold it there for today. And a Hanukkah Sameach, everybody. So for this class, we're going to take a break for 2 weeks, but tomorrow we will be doing the Parsha point.